Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll show you how to install macOS Sequoia for Intel user. Remember, this guide is for Intel user, not AMD user, because I'm sorry AMD user, I don't have AMD machine, so this method is just for Intel user. Now, let's begin. The first thing you need to have is at least a 32GB USB time and patience, because this hacking tool installation guide is a little bit long, like takes an hour to do. But in this video, I will make it short as possible. So now let's begin. Now, you need to have and macOS installer images. So here I have the Alaria Sequoia 15.5.raw. Now next is you need to have a 32GB USB. So I've plugged in my 64GB USB. So 32 or 64, it's not the problem here. Now go to your browser, type CPUZ download. Now you're gonna click on Setup English. Now you're gonna open CPUZ here. So this means to check the CPU codename for you choosing an EFI folder. So as you can see here, here's my Intel Core i3 9th generation. So my codename is Coffee Lake. So I'll use a Coffee Lake CPU to do this. Now you're gonna close. Now go to your browser again. Now you're gonna type EFI Alaria. Visit the first website. Scroll down. Now, if you're using a desktop, you're gonna choose desktop, or if you're using a notebook, you're gonna choose notebook. So I'll choose desktop Coffee Lake. Now you're gonna type proprietary download. Download this as zip. Now you're gonna download for me the Gen SMBIOS. Now you're gonna type mini tool partition wizard download. Visit the first website. Now type Berliner Etcher download. Visit the first website either. Now you're gonna download Explorer++. Visit the first website. Alright, so close this window. Now, first thing first, you're gonna set up Blender Etcher. Now you're gonna choose Flash from File. Now, choose your macOS installer 5 images. So my macOS installer 5 images is in this partition. Now you're gonna choose Alaria Sequoia. Now choose your USB here. Here's my 64GB USB. Now click on Flash. Now the next thing is you're gonna extract Gen SMBIOS and proprietary and your EFI. Now first extract your EFI folder and proprietary folder. Now run proprietary.bat as administrator. Now left click on file, choose open. Now choose your EFI folder, choose EFI, go to OC folder. Now choose config.please file. Now go to your browser again. Now this time you're gonna type choosing SMBIOS. I'll put the link in the description, so make sure to check it. So at this case, I will use Mac Mini for my 2018 Coffee Lake CPU. So before that, you're gonna check your GPU, or if you type wrong GPU, it's gonna have a faulty graphics card issues. Here's my Intel UHD graphics 630. So as you can see here, here's my Mac Mini, and also it's Coffee Lake because my CPU is Coffee Lake. So I'll choose UHD 630. Now go to proprietary. As you can see here, here's the system product name. Now you're gonna change this into your SMBIOS. Now you're gonna save the config file. Now extract Gen SMBIOS master. Now run this as administrator. Now you're gonna type number 2. Now go back to EFI folder again. Go to EFI, OC folder. Now copy the config please file. Right click on this command line. Hit enter. Now generate SMBIOS. Here you can see here's the Mac Mini, so I'll choose Mac Mini 8,1 for my graphics card. Or you can scroll here to find the desktop or MacBook, I mean desktop or laptop for your graphics card, because there's lots of choice to choose here. Now I'll type Mac Mini 8,1. Remember, if your system is the same as the Intel UHD 630 as me, you can choose Mac Mini 8,1 either. Remember, just for Intel UHD 630. Now hit enter. Now close this window. Now you're just gonna wait for the USB to flash finish so we can begin the next step. Alright, so you can see here my USB is flash finished. So now I will close this window. Now you're gonna set up the mini tool partition wizard. Now you're gonna take launch mini tool partition wizard and click on finish. Now scroll down and find your USB. So here's my USB that contains macOS installer. Now here's the EFI partition. Now choose change letter. Click on apply. Now you're gonna extract Explorer++. Run it as administrator. Now choose EFI partition. Delete all the file here. Now copy the EFI folder. Now you're gonna close this window. Now, before we begin the installation part, let me choose this data disk to install macOS Sequoia, because I've moved all my data to this new disk, so I don't have to worry. Now I will name it into macOS. If you try to install macOS on the Windows hard drive, that there's some risk, like you accidentally delete all of your Windows file, so you have to remember to name it for remember recognitions. Now let's begin the installation parts. Now let's begin the installation. Now restart your computer and head into the BIOS. Now press delete key to enter into the BIOS. Now when you're in your BIOS, you're gonna choose advanced mode. Now choose Advanced, and then choose PC Edge Storage Configuration. Now, change the SATA mode selection to AHCI. All of this to AHCI. Next, go to boot. Now, remember, turn off this fast boot. Choose disable. Now choose boot configuration. Oh no. Now make sure your BIOS have UEFI mode, and also turn off the secure boot if you need. But in this case, I will turn off secure boot to make sure. If your BIOS is enable secure boot, you can choose clear secure boot keys. Now save, change, and reset. Now press your key to go into the boot menu. Now choose the USB that contains macOS installer. So here's my 3.0 USB that contains macOS installer. Now I'll choose install macOS Sequoia here. Now you just wait for the code to launch finish, and then we can begin the installation. Now when the screen pops up without the screen like collapse or not pops up for resolution of your begin of the like Windows. If your screen doesn't pops up the right resolution of your monitor, you need to check again the Gen SMBIOS step. Now choose disk utility. Click on continue. Now I'll choose my macOS disk. Well, where is it? I think it locks the. I really hate the Windows BitLocker because it just denied to pops up. Now I'll choose. Now I'll reboot into the window. All right. So after like 10 or 15 minutes of recognizing, I'll think like I have to format this annoying BitLocker disk into the normal, because macOS doesn't know about BitLocker, I think. But now let's check and make sure if I don't accidentally delete all my stuff. Okay, macOS, I remember it is the 160 gigabytes. Let's begin. Now you're gonna choose erase. Choose erase. Now Remember, format this thing into APFS, which based on macOS system file. Now click on erase. Now click on done. Close this window. Now choose install macOS Sequoia. Now click on continue. Now click on agree. Now choose your disk. So here's my macOS disk. So I'll check again if I don't delete any stuff of my Windows. Right, so we're good. Now you're gonna choose the disk because all of this is the window, and so it will say this disk is locked, or sometimes it will say this disk doesn't use the GUID partition table scheme. That means GBT format. So macOS just only support GBT disk. Now you're gonna click on continue, and you're just going. now you just wait for macOS to install. Alright, so when the installation finished, so select your country or region. I'm in Vietnam, so I'll choose Vietnam. Transfer your data to this Mac. If you want to transfer it, you can choose from Mac Time Machine, Start Disk, from a Windows PC or something, blah blah blah. Or you can choose Setup as New. So in this case, I would choose Setup as New. Now you're gonna click on Continue. Now create your Mac account. So before that, I'll choose. Now I will name it as Mac and set up password. Remember, Mac is not like Windows, so you can't you can't skip the password step. So you need to enter it because Mac Apple is based on user security is the number one. So you can't skip Mac OS setup password step. Now, if you want to sign your Apple ID account, you can sign right now or you can choose setup later. So in this case, I will set up it later. Now, when the screen pops up like this, you're good to go. Now let's see if this a full HD resolutions. Now you can see it is 1080p default of my screen, but my screen is 100 hertz. Let's see if it's received at 100 hertz. Okay, so receive as 100 hertz. Now let's check my device properties. So you can see here it is the Mac Mini 2018. Like I said, Mac Mini 8,1 when generate SMBIOS. So here it's also received the right graphics card, and my memory is 16 gigabytes to 40 megahertz DDR4, and the macOS version is 15.5. Now, let's make a dual boot from macOS to Windows. So, I'll show you the easiest way to dual boot macOS and Windows. All you need to do is you need to have a USB that contains EFI and macOS partition like before, like this. Now, you just simply restart the computer and then head into the BIOS for me. Restart into the BIOS first. Now, go to advanced mode again. Now choose boot. Now go to the boot options. You're gonna choose your USB, so it pops like open core for me. So the first boot is open core, mean this open core means for macOS startup, and the second boot is my Windows. So now let's make let's see if my macOS and Windows is dual boot or error. Now you don't need to press any boot menu key. It will automatically pop to choose Windows or macOS for you. As you can see here, it pops macOS, Windows, install macOS Sequoia, macOS, and Mac Recovery 15.5 DMG. Now I'll choose Windows. Let's see if it's boot into Windows or I lost all of my data. Now, as you can see, here's my now as you can see here's my games, videos, EFI. This EFI you can't access from Windows. You need Explorer Plus Plus to access EFI like last method I do and VMware data. So I didn't lose anything. Now let's boot back into macOS. So this is the easiest way to make a dual boot from macOS and Windows. Now you don't need to press anything to go into the boot menu. Now choose macOS. So we good. So I successfully made a dual boot from macOS to Windows by USB without losing anything. Now we good. Alright, so this is how you install macOS Sequoia on Intel computer. Remember, this method is for Intel user. Sorry, because I don't have any AMD computers, so I feel bad for AMD user. Now, this is the end of the video. So, if you like this video, then please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to click on the like, sub, shares button and watch my new video. And now, goodbye.